Everyone doing this evening? All right. I hear a little feedback. Just give me a sec.
My computer should completely muted.
I turned this on down. Well, and it is muted.
Try again. Okay. Try now. My computer is not the cause of this.
All right. Hopefully everyone can hear me and it's not too annoyed by the echoes. To start the, actually sounds a little better. I would like to start the May 2025 board meeting. As traditional, we take roll call. So I'd like to call this meeting to order, and going from the top of the list to the bottom, Steve. Here. Harold. Sam. Here. Ashwini. Here. Avi. Here. And Diego. Here. And I am here myself, Ricardo. Great. And I would like to acknowledge that we do have multiple guests in the audience. Thank you very much for attending. A few more people out there. Sorry if I don't get to your names, but Star Brown, I believe we have Dawn on the call as well. And we have Christian, and I think that's it. Hayden. And Hayden, sorry, Hayden. Surely. Sorry, I don't think I caught that one. Okay.
Sorry.
No worries. All right. Before we begin the meeting, I'm going to read the conflict of interest and antitrust statement. As the board consists of individuals from many competing organizations, OWASP and its board shall abide by all applicable antitrust and competition laws to avoid any perceived or published agenda shall be discussed or voted upon or amended as below. If there are any conflicts of interest, board members are expected to disclose the conflict of interest and must recuse themselves from discussing and voting. Okay. Right now, I want to ask the board, are there any changes to the agenda as outlined today? Okay, I think we're good. That's great. Yes, the approval of minutes from the previous meeting. Hopefully all the board members have read that. In the order I see set down, I'm gonna ask Steve, do you approve the minutes?
Yes.
Harold?
Yes.
Ashwini?
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
Diego?
Yes.
Avi?
Yes.
And yes for me, Ricardo. The minutes are approved.
Sorry, Ricardo, for the point of order.
Mhm.
Most of our voices are probably not being picked up by the microphone.
Oh.
So just state the votes.
Sure. The result of that vote was 7-0, so the vote passes. All the board members approved the minutes from April 2025. Could we get someone to have a look at the microphone, maybe? It doesn't appear to be working. Perfect. All right. All right. Do you want to go into the board's summary just now, or shall we read the committee, the e-vote special motions right into the minutes?
You might as well do that.
Okay. So this is a vote that was cast during the e-vote. I'm just going to read it for the record. It's a motion to approve Vienna as the location for the APSAC EU for the years of 2026 to 2028. This is the second motion to decide if we were to host our APSAC EU conference from those years I described in a single location, which is now Vienna. After a successful visit by Sam, thank you very much for that, Sam, we have received very favorable pricing for holding the AppSec EU in Vienna for a period of, like I said, 3 years at $157K per year. The result of that vote, and actually I'll read the motion, resolved the board approves the executive director signing the contract with the Austria Center Vienna as the host convention center for AppSec EU 2026 to 2028. The results of the vote were 6 yes, 0 no, and 0 abstained. So that motion passed. So I just wanted to read that into the public record. Now at this time, I can ask Andrew if you wouldn't mind providing a board summary for us. Thank you.
I'm just sharing the screen. Come on. Okay, let's get on with it. There has been a change to the Director of Corporate Relations. Because this is a HR matter, I'm not going to communicate in public any further than that. We are going to actively recruit for a replacement. At the end of the day, basically, it is a confidential matter, and I'm not going to say anything more, even in private. So please, please respect that. If you do know anybody who has those sort of skills, please let me know. I wanted to just give a great call out to Jerry Hoff and Kelly for the work that they've been doing on EAR. Jerry is on the call. Jerry, do you just want to give us a quick update?
Sure, can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you. Can we raise the sound of the laptop back? Sorry, your laptop?
Okay, let me wait 1 sec. Any better?
Yeah, I can hear you better.
Perfect. So real quickly, here is the OWASP Executive Advisory Report. And
Yep, go for it.
all right, so here is the Executive Advisory Report. It's myself and Kelly Santalucia who are working on it. Essentially, the goal is to increase the number of corporate sponsors for OWASP. And so the first part of the project, we spoke to a large number of CISOs and AppSec heads, and we got back some very interesting results, which Kelly and I delivered to the board a few months ago. But to summarize, basically, corporate sponsors said, hey, we want something for our sponsorship. In other words, most of them said OWASP was great, but we need, something more for our sponsorship.
Jerry, what I think I might get you to do, the audio is just terrible and it's not really working out. I'm going to mute here and I'll get you to do a presentation to the next board meeting in June. I think that's going to be really good.
Okay, sounds good.
I'm so sorry. It's a really complicated audio setup.
No problem at all.
We are actively recruiting for a digital marketing person. So one of our things that over the next couple of months is revise our website. And for that, we need better marketing. We need to have better understanding of what we're actually trying to say and how we communicate that with the various audiences. And so that is also one of my higher priorities, is to make sure that those two roles are filled as quickly as possible. The website update is signed. it is very likely to complete in the July timeframe. I certainly hope to have it done by Black Hat at the latest. The EU entity update is very straightforward. We basically are in the process, the final stretches of signing the EU entity paperwork. It is really important to me that the entity gets started next week. We actually do have one of the directors here, Aram. Is Aram in the room? No, I don't think, okay, he's not here. We are doing the final polishes on the Constitution to make sure that there are appropriate guardrails in place, so we can work together as one foundation rather than two different entities. The old EU entity, I was hoping to get power of attorney. There is some difficulty with that, so I will need to follow up on that. It is my fervent desire to have that entity resolved and closed by the end of the year, if not sooner. We'll be in a position to accept the money from that, that entity into the new entity in about a month's time, and I would like to see that happen with the winding up of the old entity. It does owe the Belgian authorities and the Portuguese authorities various taxes and annual reports which haven't been submitted. The governance of that particular entity has broken down, and we need to resolve that by shutting it. Operations, we've got Dawn on the line, but Dawn, the audio is not great, so I'm going to read. You can put things into chat if you wish. That'll be fine. The WASP Awards, Dawn will be reaching out to nominees next week for their photos and bios. Once that's completed, the elections will start. So if you see a vote in your email asking you to vote for the WASP Awards, please do. I also want to bring up that the election process will kick off in June. We will be basically advertising very regularly for people to stand up and nominate themselves for the board. We would like very much for you to stand for the board. If you've got some plan for the future, there's going to be 4 positions open this year, including 3 that could potentially be returned, but 1 is definitely a free seat. So Avi, thank you very much for your service. We haven't finished with you yet. There's plenty of things we can volunteer for before the end of the year.
2 minutes for the win.
And I believe that you need to go into the compliance committee after this.
A committee, not specifically compliance.
Oh.
I don't think anybody wants me on the compliance committee. That's my personal opinion.
Dawn.
Just read the note I sent you in chat, Andrew. So you know,
Okay.
since it's going to be delayed.
Okay. Looks like the. Let me just expand this out. Wow, that was really loud. Where's the chat?
Right there, yeah.
Harold, IE decision. Does anyone see Dawn's update? I'm sorry.
It was sent directly to you, Andrew.
Oh, okay. I honestly, oh, there we go.
All right, I'll just say it out loud. The list is not complete because when I verified who were members, not all nominees from the staff were members, so they're not eligible. So I'm waiting on 2 staff members to give me updates, so I cannot move any further with the WASP awards till then.
Okay,
Gotcha.
we still want to do it sometime in June. We'll make that work out for you.
Yeah, I know that you're at the conference, so it probably won't be till next week before I can do anything.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, we are waiting upon, we would normally hear from Charity CFO now. Dawn, is there any more updates before we go?
No, we just an update because I was out a few days and Leah was out a few days. We got quite a bit of the a 90-day plus ARs So that report doesn't show it yet. So there's at least, I think, $80,000 that came in.
Excellent, love it. So for those of you unaware, accounts receivable is one of the things where we're promised money and we finally get it in our banking account. And so we have a list of people who haven't paid us yet, but we are owed that money. And so clearing that up by the tune of $80,000 means that we've had $80,000 land. We have done a small number of write-offs for fees, bank fees and things like that, just to clear up the backlog of 90 plus days. So thank you, Dawn, for all your hard work on cleaning up the AR. Okay, I just wanted to bring up, let me just have a quick look. Star, did you manage to get through the projects and grants slides? No, okay. Is Lauren or Heather in the room? Okay. So we've actually had a really successful AppSec EU. We have exceeded our financial goal by about 124,000 US dollars. We are confirmed for Vienna. We've managed to get 166 new memberships from general admission with 1 new membership ticket, so that's fantastic news. We received a piece of legal advice, and that legal advice is that trainers who don't have work authorization in the United States may not get paid for their training. This is going to be a problem for us because we'll have to restrict who can actually give training. That doesn't mean US citizens only. It doesn't mean green card holders only. It means anyone who's got a valid work visa for the United States can give training in the US. We're following that up as fast as we possibly can because that changes who can present at our training. And many of the reasons why people come to our conferences is for the trainers who come from overseas to spread their expertise. We are allowed to give them travel and accommodation. That is a permitted thing. We're allowed to give them I think we're going to be okay, but that's not everybody, and I think it will restrict the pool of trainers.
Andrew?
Yeah.
Are we expected to, was the legal advice that we need to be responsible to track that, or just that be aware that there's going to be a problem?
I honestly need further legal advice to get the exact wording we need to put onto our keynote and speaker trainer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we need a box on there that says.
Requirements on that, do we?
So we need a box on the keynote speaker agreement and the trainer agreement that basically says, I have work authorization in the United States.
Or I'm expressly coming here for travel and recreation.
Yeah, and I'm going to get proper legal advice from an immigration lawyer to make sure that we get the right advice.
Yeah.
And then we'll communicate with the community once we have that right advice.
Great. Thank you, Andrew.
There is a number of folks who are very worried about crossing the US border at the moment, and it is depressing travel from Germany by about 30%. We are worried about our numbers for AppSec DC, so we're going to be advertising AppSec EU from here on in as the International OWASP Conference, and hopefully get more attendees for the international conference. We probably will not rename it because we have trademarks on what we actually use, but we will be promoting it as the international conference. So if you don't feel like going through the US border at this very moment, you can come to this event with a little bit more stability. Okay, I don't want to get into political landscape in public. I think honestly that might breach our conditions of 5013C, and I think many of you know my personal opinions about the instability. Okay, Barcelona, we have sold 106% of our conference tickets. We've sold 127% of our training and our conference. This is a few days old. We've actually hit 800 now conference tickets. So it's looking very, very healthy for us, which is going to be good because DC might be very unhealthy. And we will try our very best to make sure that DC is as successful as possible with the North American market and anyone else who wishes to come to America. Again, we're obtaining legal advice to basically maximize your chances of crossing the border. It may be things like just practical advice, like don't take a work laptop, don't bring your resume. The correct thing to say when you go and talk to them about attending a conference. Because attending a conference is a perfect legitimate use of the tourist visa. It is nothing that's out of the ordinary. So we do hope that people will take the opportunity to come to AppSec USA. Okay. Things are basically looking okay for our other events. I do see a red one here. AppSec Israel. This is from last week, so I don't know if we're still in.
We're in the green.
Oh, perfect.
Slightly.
Okay, that's good. And the next one that's red, the German OSA needs to apply, but it's got plenty of time. That's in November, so we've got time to get that done. Okay, with the rest of that, I think just because the staff have been traveling, we haven't got the rest of the updates in order. I will make sure that those updates are done once they get back. And if I need to draw your attention to anything special, I will do so at the next meeting. Okay. With that, I'm going to pass the mic back to Ricardo, and we'll do our other business, and we'll wait for Charity CFO to come.
All right. Thank you, Andrew. All right, we'll move into the new business section. There is a motion to approve the working group policy. The background on this is that the policy establishes the process for creating and managing OWASP working groups. It is intended to provide a clear framework for the establishment, operation, and dissolution of working groups within the OWASP Foundation. The pull request contains changes to the bylaws to allow the creation of working groups and the committee policy to ensure that the working group policy is the primary source of information for all working groups. And lastly, the working group policy itself. So I will read the motion and then I will take a vote. Oh, how many motions is there? Okay. Motion resolved, the bylaws are amended to allow the creation of working groups. This requires a super majority of the board. I think someone's trying to come in there. It's sponsored by Steve and seconded by myself. If I take a vote starting from first person to my right, which is Steve.
Yes.
Harold.
Yes.
Ashwini.
Yes.
Sam.
Yes.
Diego.
Yes.
And Abby.
Yes.
And that's a yes for myself, Ricardo. The motion passes 7-0. Thank
Point
you
of
very much.
order, Ricardo, do you mind giving a few sentences about what it is for those listening?
What the
working groups are?
Would you mind doing that?
This policy establishes the process for creating and managing OWASP working groups intended to provide a clear framework for the establishment, operation, and dissolution of working groups.
Sorry, Abby, I already read that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I already read that.
So what did you want me to read?
No.
You asked me to give some, I would wonder what else you wanted me to say about it.
Yeah.
That motion that just passed modifies the bylaws to actually establish the ability for the board to create working groups and delegate that authority to create and disband working groups to me. That doesn't mean that I'll do them all the time. It just means that the board has the power, and they've decided that in the bylaws that I get the ability to, or the executive director gets the ability to do that. Because the idea of a working group is to spin it up really fast with minimal overhead, minimal bureaucracy. There'll be a cheery ticket for it. We're going to operationalize this over the next month and just make sure that we've actually got this in process. We've got a couple of working groups that we really want to get going straight away. And we'll use those as guinea pigs to make sure we're working. The next motion basically establishes the working committee policy.
I will read the motion. Resolve, the committee policy is amended to ensure that the working group policy is the primary source of information for working groups. This requires a supermajority of the board. The sponsor is still Steve, and the second is still myself. From my immediate right, let's vote on this motion.
We've read the same motion, just approved.
No, there was one above it.
Oh, okay, sorry.
No worries, no worries. Yeah. Obviously, the job of chair is really hard to keep everyone on the same page here. So Steve?
Yes.
Harold?
Yes.
Ashwini?
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
Diego?
Yes.
Avi?
Yes.
And myself is a yes, Ricardo. The motion passes 7-0. And we're going to have one more motion, which is the last one, which is the actual approval of the policy. And the motion reads, resolve that the working group policy is approved, still sponsored by Steve and seconded by myself. From my immediate right, Steve? Start with Avi. Oh, Avi?
Yes.
Okay. Diego?
Yes.
Sam?
Yes.
Ashwini?
Yes.
Harold?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
And myself is a yes. The motion passes 7-0. And we are done with this vote. Thank you, everyone. The next motion is to approve the privacy policy. Now, the background of this is that the privacy policy outlines how OWASP collects, uses, and protects personal information. So it is designed to ensure compliance with applicable privacy laws and regulations, and to provide transparency to individuals about their data. There is a link in here as well, and a very short motion just to approve that policy, which I will read. Resolved that the privacy policy is approved. It is sponsored by Avi and seconded by Diego. Starting from Steve.
Yes.
Harold.
Yes.
Ashwini.
Yes.
Sam.
Yes.
Diego.
Yes.
Avi.
Yes.
And myself is a yes. The privacy policy passes 7-0. The next one is a motion to approve the travel policy. The background of this is that the travel policy outlines the guidelines and procedures for the OWASP board members. Yep, let me just omit that person. Participants and volunteers when traveling for OWASP related business. It is designed to ensure consistency, accountability, and cost effectiveness in travel arrangements. There is a link in the agenda to this policy, and I will read the motion to be voted upon. Is resolved that the travel policy is approved. I will be reading it from.
Do you want to give a quick summary of the headline of the change?
I actually am unfamiliar with the change in that policy.
Which is actually quite good because it's a new policy. It's a policy that has been modified quite heavily from our staff travel policy. And thank you, Christian, for making sure that we actually deal with anyone outside the United States. Globalization is a real thing. As a person who lives in Australia, this is actually your suggestions were well accepted. Thank you so much. And so what it does is it tries to make sure that we make it really clear about ensuring that if there are no local volunteers, there is a role for travel at OWASP. And we've been doing that without a policy for many, many years. The staff have been traveling under the staff handbook travel policy. And what I wanted was a policy that was very similar to that, so we didn't have to administer two different policies for travel. What this allows us to do from an operational point of view is appoint a travel agent, and hopefully we can maintain costs and be a bit more responsible with our spending, and make it more easy for, like, for example, the board who has to travel, they need to book their own airfares and then expense them. with a travel agency, it'll be possible for us to book on their behalf. So this is something that I think is a really important policy. It's just that it needed to be right. And again, thank you to the entire community for your
Thank you
feedback.
very much. Yep. Right. Now that Charity CFO has entered the meeting, I'm actually gonna bring them on to, yeah, if you wouldn't mind. Pardon?
Just did the vote.
I thought we just did the vote.
No, you didn't. Do the vote. And then we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
Motion.
Motion that the travel policy is approved, sponsored by Diego, seconded by Ricardo. Starting from Steve,
Yes.
Harold,
Yes.
Ashwini,
Yes.
Sam,
Yes.
Diego,
Yes.
Abby,
Yes.
and myself, Ricardo, is a yes. Passes 7-0. And I'll hand it over to Andrew so we can get caught up on the financials.
The co-host, so she can share her screen.
Thanks, guys. Hi, how's everyone doing?
Could you make the audio from the Zoom call come through, please? Just speak, Leah.
Hello, everyone. I'm Leah from the Charity CFO. How are you all? Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's coming through really, really quiet. I'm hoping it's going to record on the Zoom session. Do you want to share your screen?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but the other people can't. We're just working on the audio. We need a special. Okay, go for it.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Great. Hello, everyone. I'm Leah from the Charity CFO. How is everyone doing today? Good.
What I'd probably suggest is maybe we do a. Sorry, we can't hear her. We want to hear her. Okay.
Oh, she might have been muted.
No,
No,
Hi,
she's
Leah.
not
on
muted.
the laptop.
Okay.
She's not muted. So Leah, I'm so sorry. Could I get you to record this and I'll get the
Yes.
recorder session
recorded and
we'll
send it.
provide it to the board.
Yeah.
I will run through the management report the best I can, but you are the best person to say all the things.
Yes,
So
I
sorry.
will
Thank you
record
for
it and
joining
send
us,
it
by the
in.
way.
No problem.
I am sorry. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to just run through the finances real quick. Come on, go away. Her settings were sort of okay, but it wasn't coming through. So what
Because I had the Zoom open.
Okay, well, hopefully on the Zoom call, it will actually be recorded. I'll just run through her report real quick and then we'll pass the mic back to here. Okay. So the basis of preparation, look, I'm not good at this. You guys will get a video recorded session of approximately 5 minutes going through this. I'm just going to take you through headlines.
Okay. Thank you, Andrew.
Okay, let's just make this bigger. I am so blind. Okay, now during the month of April 2025, cash increased by 281,000, leaving a cash balance of 2.3 million. It's due to the increase in registration and training revenue, not only for here, but also ABSEC DC. The current assets were 546,534 and funds due from PayPal, Stripe, 3 Chase CDs and Eventbrite Accounts receivable was 566, but as Dawn noted, there's been a huge clear up in our AR. So I'm expecting when we get the May report in June, that will be decreased quite substantially. Accounts receivable will go down. We only really accept expo sponsors once they've paid. It's really encouraging them to pay before the actual the conference itself. In some cases, we do have some folks who exhibit without paying us, but it's a very rare occurrence. Accounts payable is 312,000 and primarily made up of monies owed for constant reimbursements and vendors. So this is like the payment, the last payment for here, for example, for food and beverage and things like that. The credit card balance was 42,481, and that was primarily made up of airfares and things like that. That was completely cleared to allow the staff to travel here. I'm expecting a big month in May because of that travel to here. Okay. Total operating revenue for the month of April was 439,000 compared with 548,000 in March 2025. The decrease in sponsorship revenue and project income. Honestly, it's going to be a very challenging year with the uncertainties, and we're going to try very hard to keep up sponsorships, corporate support, and project income through grants, through the improvement in marketing, and also try to make sure that we're actually doing what we can through. The year-to-date operating revenue is $1.8 million compared to a budget of 1.4, so we're slightly ahead of by about $400,000. Again, this is because we have early conference event sponsorship for AppSec DC. Year-to-date operating expenses were 1.067 million and with a year-to-date budget of 1.2. So we're actually under our budget. We are watching the pennies very carefully. We recognise a net income of 13,705 for April 25 for a year-to-date net income of 816,000. So that's actually good. So if you think about net income, this is our buffer increasing, okay? It's not just revenue. We've effectively saved $816,000. It's not quite the same thing as, you know, you got cash in your wallet. It's not like that. Okay, so here's the balances. I think I'll let Leah run through those really, really carefully. She's actually much better at it than me. We actually went through this at the board meeting in some detail. So I think honestly, it's probably worthwhile just waiting for Leah to go through this in some detail and pointing out anything that's unusual or concerning. I don't think anything is concerning at this point. In terms of variances to budget, probably training, we didn't recognize a number of training, but as you can see from the participants outside for the last 3 days, we've got way more than $12,995 in training revenue. So I'm very, very happy with the number of not only sessions that we're running in training, that's a very huge increase compared to last year in terms of number of courses that we're running, but that's actually really good for our community as well. Okay. Realistically, we are doing better compared to our budget by about $615,000. The percentage there of 1,229% is wrong. I'll ask Leah to correct that before she does her report. There's no way that that's the right figure. It's probably 122%. Okay, so again, if there was a restatement of these financials, I'll let you know when the video comes. Okay.
Thank you.
Other than that, I'm done. Thank you.
All right. Appreciate it, Andrew. right. We are at a point where we are going to have a discussion about the OWASP EU entity. I think, as mentioned before, this is going to be an important part of how we operate in this region. A little bit of background, I'll just read it for you. The OWASP EU entity discussion is an ongoing conversation about the future of the OWASP in Europe, including potential changes to the organizational structure, funding, and outreach efforts. I am going to, is that acceptable? All right, I am going to ask the directors if they have any questions that can kick off this discussion.
I do not have any questions. We've talked about that a lot recently.
Not me.
Yeah, I think we've discussed quite a bit about it. Yeah, so no questions.
It would be good to fund.
Back history. Yeah.
Okay, so the original EU entity was set up for VAT reasons and pretty much VAT reasons only. And it was never used as a proper vehicle. It was always a sort of a second-class citizen. And I don't think that's the right thing. So when we lost control of our bank account and we couldn't actually do any transactions, we just stopped using the EU entity altogether. And then the situation with the directors there also changed. So what we would like is an EU entity that is strongly aligned with our mission. We've been talking with the new directors about making sure that we've got guardrails in place, that we not only are doing the same mission, but we're basically running the same. But we want to have their context. We are experts in CRA. We are not experts in a lot of the day-to-day comings and goings of EU regulations and other things. So what I would suggest is this is going to be a bi-directional conversation between the EU directors and us. We've been talking about potential changes to the global board. We're putting in guardrails. Steve, you've been putting in plenty of comments to the Constitution. And we will basically try to do risk reduction to the US entity by doing a lot more transactions in the EU. So if it's a USA transaction, of course, we're going to do it in the USA. But if it's outside the USA, there's a very good chance we're probably going to do it through the EU entity. And we'd like to grow the EU entity to a point where it may be able to get its own staff member in the future. Okay, that's the plan. And we want you, as this region, to really help us. We're going to be doing almost all the contracting, if not the majority of contracting for AppSec EUs going forward through the EU entity. We've been assured by the chosen bank that we will be able to do transactions remotely and get our transaction summaries without any issues. We'll see if that's actually the case. But at the end of the day, the challenges that we had with the previous entity opened our eyes as to the opportunities that we've missed over the last decade plus with the previous entity, and we don't want to make those same mistakes again. And this is our chance to get it right. And this is just the start. It's not the end point. This is where we basically, start being a global organization. We're not just a USA organization. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really say too much more, Andrew. I think it's really important to kind of, like Andrew was saying, there's all kinds of regulations that, we as an American, I don't have a lot of insight to. We see things written, we see things on the news, but we don't really have that impact from the day to day, right? I don't have that. My other non-European folks on the board also do not have that. So it's really going to be important for both boards to actually work together as one, with one strategy going forward.
I don't have anything.
I think we're in furious agreement.
Yeah.
Anybody have anything to add?
Anyone else?
Yeah, just obviously to update everyone in the room as well. So the EU entity will be formed shortly. We have two the directors of the EU entity. I think they're both Belgian nationals, right? Obviously encouraging all the EU citizens in the room as well to be aware that we do have an EU entity now. There will be opportunity to apply for the board of the EU entity. Another important thing that was mentioned by Steve is regulations. One of the upcoming regulations that we're very much aware and was brought to our attention thanks to the EU entity is a CRA. So CRA is very much now on the OWASP radar, and there will be some activities related to our projects to make sure that they are aligned to the CRA. So and we're glad that one of the EU directors is actually an active participation in the active participant in the EU CRA working group.
Nope.
So the EU entity will likely be formed next week as long as the notary agrees to the changes that we're actually doing. Significant at this point, but let's see what they do with the rest of the changes. Then there's going to be a bank account. I'm going to be working with Iran to establish an office. We need to have a official office, so we're likely to use Regis in the center of Belgium for that. Once we've actually got that going, then it's a matter of the directors meeting and adopting policies. So I would like to see them adopt policies of the main foundation, but they probably need to review them to make sure that they're actually applicable to Belgian law. And so if there's a need for those to all be reviewed by a Belgian lawyer, then we will do so. So once we've got the policies in place, we will fund the EU entity with the remnants of whatever's left. We will work through that. I would imagine it's going to be fully functional, ready for VAT registrations within hopefully less than a month's time. It's a really aggressive timetable, but we need to get it done. We need to register for Spain. We need to register for France, for AppSec France. We need to register for Germany Day. And there's always, we need to get ready for Austria as well for next year. We really want to be in a much better position than we are this year with registering for VAT early for Austria. So we can actually sell registrations for training and tickets much earlier, even though the conference next year will actually take place in June. Okay, so there's the timelines.
You also mentioned about EU grants.
Yeah, so we're forming what's called an IVZW, which is an international VZW, which is a non-profit. And that means that we can do business anywhere in the world, which is really great. But what it also means is that if we become aware of grants from EU nations or the EU itself, we can theoretically apply for them. Now, not every grant that you apply for you get, but if there's anything that people come across and it's worth us, investing the time to get that grant under control, I'd like to see us actually apply for more grants. Just let us know if there is any sort of grant that you think we've got a good chance of doing, remembering that we're not in the business of creating things from whole cloth, like effectively saying we're going to raise kittens because the grant wants us to raise kittens. We need to do something in AppSec, okay? So AppSec related grants, love it. Okay.
All right. I think we can probably move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the Amsterdam summary. So about a month ago, we all flew, with the exception of Andrew, to Amsterdam for our first in-person meeting of the year. While at that meeting, Let me open the link right here. We discussed a number of topics. Oh, I didn't want to do that, sorry. Just give me 2 seconds to open that up into a new tab. And let me make that a little bit bigger for everyone. Hopefully you all can see that. We discussed a range of topics that all the directors were passionate about and wanted to see, where the foundation could be 3 to 5 years from now. We had the undertaking of transforming last year's brainstorming session from our strategy that we're operating on into something that we can tangibly do for the next 3 to 5 years, like I said. We had a range of topics, including, expanding our revenue streams to incorporate new ways to bring money into the foundation. We talked about the way that projects are managed. We talked about the formation of working groups. So that was the idea and the policy that we voted on earlier. So we made that slight, very minor amendment to the bylaws so that we can bring those online. Those would be critical for us to get things done. We also discussed how to get things done a little more quickly. I myself really want to try to reduce the red tape so that we can push the foundation forward. We also talked about establishing advisory groups, and we continued that discussion here, both on the working groups, the advisory groups, and some of these things are actually in motion today. We are laying the groundwork for the financial expansion as well. So we're exploring all avenues, including potential for OWASP certification, and how best to make uses of the funds that we have. So we are kicking off an optimization exercise so that we can try to reduce any of the costs that we can. Let's see what else we discussed here. We discussed establishing a mentorship program. We also discussed setting up a job board. And also, very importantly, is the 25th anniversary that's happening next year. We are already brainstorming ideas and would love to hear from our membership any ideas that you have for our 25th anniversary. We did authorize a price increase of the Life membership. That will be going up to $750 USD. So that's $300 for regional membership. And that should be going ahead in 2027. So it's a very good time if you're not a lifetime member to get signed up as soon as possible before 2027 rolls around. You'd be surprised how fast these years roll by. We talked about the CRA and, our role within that new regulation. We talked about, oh, that's long. Wow, it is really long. We talked about, that's okay. Let's see. My thing is I didn't have time to go through this document either. So apologies as I breeze through it. Is there anything I've missed, board, that would be good to mention to the folks here and online as well before I move on? Is there anything we want to discuss from this document?
Nothing to discuss other than you skipped past a very, it was a one-liner.
Oh, sorry, what was it?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Marketing.
Okay, sorry.
Andrew's going to hire a marketing person.
Yes. We authorized the hire of a new EFT from a digital marketing and communications manager.
Because we need marketing.
Yeah. Thanks, Avi. We are doing marketing, it's just not effective.
Yes. Perfect. All right. I think we can safely move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the certification program update. The background on this is that the certification program provides an overview of the current status of OWASP certification effort, including any changes or improvements that could be made since the last update. So I see Shruti in the audience. Yes, right there. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Certification program has been really close to, especially to Sam and to myself, because we started working on it since the Dublin AppSec program. And there are 3 parts to it. One is setting up working group, which is a precursor to what motion you have already passed, and we are doing well on that side. And then the second one is coming up with a curriculum. We need to distinguish the AppSec curriculum from the certification curriculum because they are quite different. So now, because we have this project demo, I've made sure that we have an introduction. We have got an AppSec, sorry, the certification curriculum and some sample questions. Thank you for that, Sam. And that's what we'll present in tomorrow and on Friday's session. And the third update is on the question bank building, because we cannot write, we are not professionals to write exam questions. So we've been working with Exam. Thanks to our common friend we have in London who introduced us Exam. So we know how they approach towards exam questions bank, and then what's the pricing and all that stuff. So we have taken it quite forward now. And also STAR is working on with other Prometric centers like Pearson VUE and all. So we need to sit down and make sure that we have got comparison points and then start going on it. So the tomorrow's and day after tomorrow's call of action is to help build us the OCSD curriculum and get going from there. And I hope we will achieve the 2025, end of 2025 for the certification, to be launched. So thank you. That's all I had.
Thank you very much. And attend your talk.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Oh, gosh, yes. Please attend my talk because we're going to discuss a lot of this curriculum and how to go about building the exam bank, exam question bank, and how do we generally approach this thing. So, yes, this is a call for action. Yes. Oh, yes, it's at 10:45 tomorrow. And here, and also on Friday, I think it's at 11:30, if I'm not wrong. So I'm sure it's unscheduled.
All right.
I have actually another update from Education Committee. We have made a lot of progress on trainings. I'm working with Heather and with Lauren to make sure we set up a proof of concept in London. I suggested London because I'm in London, so I can take 2 days off and then look at how we do the stuff, arrange the trainings and look at the progress and all that thing. So we are actively looking at it and I hope we'll be able to do it this year, if not next year, early next year. Yeah, and that's all paid for all trainings, okay, not free trainings.
Very much. I appreciate that. All right.
Did you just want to look at the chat to see if there's anything?
Sure.
Share the chat.
I think I minimized it by mistake.
What happened?
I have no idea.
What was the EU money lost? Guy? I don't know. It was written off, which is a different thing, but we don't know, and that's the problem.
Where it is.
Tom, OWASP 25th during the USA 250th anniversary. Well, that's a coincidence.
Yeah.
We'll do a bigger celebration than that. Where do we find the summary? Frank, it's on the global, the summary of the Amsterdam, Frank?
It's linked into the agenda,
Yeah.
so that's where I pulled it up from. So it's already posted online.
Yeah, and that's the last of it.
Yep, great.
Okay.
Thank you very
Would you like
much.
to do the agenda?
Yes. First, before we do that, let me just pull this back up really quickly. Is there any comments, announcements, any other business that we should do that before we have questions or comments from the audience?
Was there any comments from the audience? Any questions?
The head of the events committee, I believe, has a comment. Or what? You have a comment? Head of the events committee?
No, just, well, first of all, thanks to.
Want to give them the mic or?
All the good news and stuff. One comment on the marketing thing.
Mhm.
That's something that the events committee has been banging on the table for a while now. And I think that I can speak in the name of the committee and say that we welcome the news. The question here is that the right persona? Because at least on my personal understanding, if we get, what was it, digital marketing manager and community thing.
Mhm.
That's the kind of persona that probably is not going to focus on breaking that wall and that echo chamber that we've been discussing. And we have been looking how to reach out of the same 600, 700 people that we keep bringing over. So is that the right approach? Is that the right person? Is that the right thing to do? From a very cursory examination, the numbers are not good, and just amplifying that inside the people who already know what's happening at OWASP probably might not be the best way to break that chamber and to expand the horizons. So I would invite a discussion around, do we need something more than that?
So Isa, I will get you the job rec. Let's get it right. We haven't put it out there yet. We haven't gone onto LinkedIn yet. And honestly, getting the right person in for the role is really, really important. And getting the job duties right, because this is a completely brand new role for us. We don't have any existing job duties to copy from. Let's get it right. Products, we don't offer many services, if you like. So we're not a traditional thing to market. So I was really looking for some fresh ideas on how do we break that bubble. And I think, let me work with you on getting that done.
We're here, the event committee is here like for that.
Yep.
And on the notice of products, we got a list of ideas coming up from the event committee. That's basically we have a running list of things that we would love to do in the coming events and other things and ideas on things that we haven't tried yet. But the discussion always goes back to, okay, so we plan these things, we build around, we get everybody moving, and then nobody shows up. Because we keep saying we can have the best ideas in the world, but if we can't communicate them outside and get people excited about them and showing up to actually participate in these events, then all that work is for naught. So what I'm trying to say is that the events committee would look forward very, very strongly to work with you and the board on doing that marketing thing.
If you build it, they will come.
I just want to point out. I just want to point out that we were trying to market everything, including membership, corporate supporters, events, everything. It's not just events. I think one of the problems that we've got with so many of our social feeds, if you look through Twitter, for example, it's saturated with event promotions and it's not very effective. And so what we need to do is reinvigorate things. And I think that's where we're going to make a huge change.
All right.
One of the, I would just like to add that one of the very first working groups, now that we have a working group policy, is in fact a marketing working group, an outreach and communications working group. And the working groups are a little bit unlike committees. The working groups are focused on actually getting stuff done. So I think this, between potentially a new hire and the working group, I think this is going to be a really good step forward.
There will be movement. Yep.
Lastly, people on working groups, because there's no board powers involved, can be on multiple working groups.
Very important point. Yeah, go for it.
Continuing your comment that people can be on multiple working groups, I just want to announce that Izar was just voluntold that he's on the marketing working group.
Congratulations. All right.
I'm gonna get kicked later, aren't I?
All right, I think that's it. Okay. So I think we've come to the end of the agenda now, and I will read the motion to adjourn. I will sponsor it. Do I have a second? Oh, great. Abby is seconded. It is moved and seconded to adjourn. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you very much for coming out and listening to this riveting.
Do you have a question in the chat?
Hopefully we didn't
Do you have a
bore you
question
too
in the
much.
chat?
But we appreciate you. And anyway, so have a great night. Be safe. Yes.
There's a question in the chat.
Oh, whoops.